Chris Moses here with Gospel Progressions University, and I'm going to show you something today that I struggled with for some time. When I wanted to play behind somebody and, the song was done or the preacher was about to come up or there was some type of transition, the biggest issue I had was trying to make melody lines and create beautiful melody lines that, were compelling and that had something to do with what the person was saying, instead of just playing whatever came to mind. And that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how to create beautiful melody lines whenever you're trying to play behind someone during talk music or during the transitional part of the service. Let's dig in. So let's start simple. All right, we're going to start in the key of D flat major. And what I'll do is play something simple. We'll just start with a melody. And the melody is going to be the basis of where you're getting everything from. It's important because you're going to want to build around that. You may have heard it said, let's keep the melody on top. Well, yeah, you want to do that. Otherwise, your chords don't really have a structure. They will make sense, but they won't have any sort of movement to where they actually end up. And that has to do with your harmony, your melody, and your time. So we're going to talk about some of those things. So let's look at a simple melody, right? We have this. So that's D flat, E flat, F, C, and then B flat, right? So what we can do, the first thing is we have that melody established. We want to look at now the time that goes with that, because timing is important. We don't want to just play or, in that fashion. It has to go someplace. And typically, you're going to play talk music or some kind of transitional music. It's not necessarily going to be fast. So it's going to be something just, kind of slow and just kind of fills the space. So what you want to do here is pay attention to your time, right? And with the timing, we have that 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Or if you want to do another type of timing, you could do 1, 2, 3, 4. And play it even slower than that if you want. You want to think about where you're going to emphasize your rhythm. And the way we do that is going to be either with volume or with some type of structure where it's going to be a root chord, a chord, or some type of line. And there's some other things I'm going to add to that. So we have this, right? And we can do that with volume, right? We have the first beat, emphasize the D flat, B flat, right? Or just emphasize all four. But after a while, you're not going to just want to just play that. So we have our timing down and we can emphasize our rhythm. Now with that, we can try to build it up with a simple type of harmony structure. So let's create a simple harmony. And a lot of times if I'm doing talk music or transitional music, I'm not going to play full chords like triads or 4 or 5 note chords necessarily when I'm building up the melody. So what I would do is take that and harmonize it with that D flat there, harmonize it with an F, right? Almost like you're playing a D flat triad, but I would go something like that. Okay, so in my right hand, I would just do the D flat, G flat, and E flat, A flat, and F, right? And then go E flat, C, G flat, and then B flat. So we have our melody, and we can emphasize it with the harmony. So we can do, right? So we just started out with the first note. We can do that as well. All right, so now to give us some lower frequencies, take our left hand and give the left hand some action. And then we can emphasize what we want. In this case, I may want to emphasize the 1 or the 3, or the 1 as far as the beat, the 1, 2, 3, 4. And this would be the, the 3 for D flat, which would be F. So I might just double it up, right? And just do something like this. Matter of fact, I may double up both of them, the F and the D flat. So, right? Yeah. And let's do so what I had here is we can emphasize the first beat with this first chord here. All right, your F, your D flat, and your F and your D flat doubled, and then emphasize the last rhythm. Okay, so we have this. Or we can just do all of them, right? Every harmony, G flat, E flat, A flat, F, and then do E flat, C, and then complete it here. So it would sound like this. So, all right, so we have that type of rhythm and that type of emphasis. So now you have what's called a motif or a theme. And that's what you want to focus on whenever you're doing your talk music, your instrumental music, or some kind of transition music. You want to think of a motif, a theme, and kind of stick around that. You know, obviously you don't want to just play this, you know. You get my point? Like a stuck, you know, a scratch CD, if you're old enough to remember those. All right, you want to kind of have some feeling behind it. There's an Italian term, I think it's called rubato, right? So with feeling in music, all right? And then there's certain types of musical terms that's used with sheet music to help you to better express it. So you want to play more expressively and not like a MIDI file, you know, where you're playing everything just exactly on time. If you're trying to build something up, and you may introduce a timing element as far as a drummer, but you have your own internal clock, hopefully, and you can just kind of stick to that or come out of it, all right? So there's so many things you can do with that simple melody line. So again, it's just D flat, E flat, F, C, and B flat, right? So if you want to expand on that now, and we can take the chords and make them a little bit more complex, okay? And just take now our left hand and play the F, D flat, E flat, right? Now we have this. And then we have this. And now we change the color of the sound of the chord here. And I love major 7th chords. They work really great with 1 chords, like in this case in D flat major, the 1 would be D flat. So you have your major 7th and 4 chords. Work really nice with that. And it depends on what you're doing with the harmony. So now we have this kind of harmony here. We have this would be dissonant by itself, but it really warms up that 4 chord when we play that. So we have this. All right. We can continue now to push that even further. So with this melody line, then we can go C now, C, D flat. So we can do this. All right. Notice what I did here with my left hand. I did sort of, I guess you would call it some sort of deceptive cadence, meaning that, you know, the cadence of that portion of the music is just me ending that in the last few notes there, and they give you a sense of finishing, but it's not going back to the root note, which would be D flat. So it's all right. I think I did something like this. You can do that as well, right? So when you have that sound around the 3 of the D flat, it implies the chord D flat, but it doesn't necessarily say we're on the nose and we're playing D flat, you know, because it just kind of, oh, we're settled. So that's another video for another time as far as ambiguity is concerned. If you follow me on TikTok, I have a video about that, how to make like ambiguous chords and how to sound good with it and not be so much on the nose. When I say something is on the nose, I mean that it's just like in your face, like you're doing a chord progression and it's very, you know, very rooty, you know, unless that the music calls for it. But you don't want to have so much resolution, so to speak, when you're playing behind someone, like as far as talk music and as far as background music, because the sense we're transitioning. Remember, you're not settled, so it's not like a, and then you got to build the tension back up again, and you know you want to leave the tension for the ending of your phrases, meaning, well, the resolution of the tension, I should say, in the ending of your phrases. In other words, so you build up the tension, right? And the chords want to go somewhere, right? You have your tension here, and we're still playing diatonically or in the key of D flat. I'm not doing anything extra, right? And you resolve it here, and then build it up again. Or now you could do this, right? your A flat over C, right? And then you're resolved, but not as resolved as you would play in a root position, you know, a D flat. So you have to think about those things when you're trying to build your tension up, when you're trying to build things up. So now let's move on to that. We can still do that same melody, and we can bring a different kind of feeling to that motif where it sounds like, you know, it's happy. Right? So right, it has a nice complete sound. It's you can do this as well, but almost like I'm contradicting myself by saying, you don't play this, but I'm playing a triad here, but notice this melody on top is the F. So it kind of still kind of leaves it sort of suspended and kind of resolved at the same time. Because again, the root position isn't just like a, you know, major triad. So you kind of have this on top, right? And so we're there. And then now we can move on and create other tensions, like so. Instead of doing the A flat now, we can, I was gonna go there, I went there too early. We can, instead of doing the A flat to go to the, or A flat over C to go to the D flat, we can replace that A flat with a diminished 7th chord, right? So we can do, instead of A flat here, we just play, G flat, right? We have a G flat chord here, D flat, F, G flat, B flat, over this 1 and 3 for G flat, B flat, right? And then we can climb up. Right, we can continue with this too, but I would want to in my mind because I'm so used to doing like different things and exploring this, but this is, you know, of course, it's going to be in your practice time, but you A diminished 7th, right? And you have this kind of, you know, resolution, but not so much. Again, the 6th chord is a nice replacement here to give it that nice, you know, mellow sound with this minor 7th chord. All right, but we can move on and go just any direction that we pretty much want to go in. All right, so we have this again. We can repeat the motif an octave. I do that all the time, an octave up and bring it down, the same exact thing, but it's amazing when you play octaves, when you change them, whenever you're playing melodies over and over again, the different feeling that it can bring, not just your chord progressions, but just experimenting with octaves. Like, this is what I mean. So we do this, right? We do it again. Where was it here? Or, right, so again. Same thing. Or we could start here. And then end it here if the phrase is finished, right? If it's not, and they fake you out with somebody else coming to say something, this happens to me all the time, you can do see how you can start it over again. And then sometimes I'll start the melody line over again, like I'll do right, something, right, yeah, something like that. And then I can walk up again. See what I did there? So just walked up from the 1, 2, 3. Because when you're playing this, right, and you might want to know, well, tell me what the chords are. Tell me what the chords are. And I can tell you, but I want you to get the feeling of this. If somebody's talking or you're trying to do a transition, the timing is always dot, 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 dot. That's what I hear in my head. But I'm not always playing, you know, very, like I said, like a MIDI file. I'm playing that in my head, but that's part of the motif. You hear this in movies all the time, in you know, film scores. They may they'll play the same melody but play it super slow or change the octave or, you know, change the instrument that in which is played to evoke a specific emotion. But that's what you're doing when you're the lone keyboard player or organ player at church. You're trying to evoke these different types of emotion. And it's just 4 chords really, but it's how you play them and how you're getting there. All right. Again, with the, all right, we can do this. Something like that. It's hard to teach this and because half of the time I'm doing it and I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. The minute you start thinking about something is when you start making mistakes. But the point here is to understand that you're taking your melody and you're gonna start very simple, okay? Something simple like what I did, and use it at different octaves, different kind of chord replacements. Instead of the A flat, you can use it's the same C there, but you're using this A diminished seventh to go to the B flat minor versus the A flat over C to go to the D flat major. All right, it works very well. And using your ears and your internal clock just to help keep you there. It's still the same motif. You don't have to stick to it like glue, like 100%. You can't leave it, but you may slightly go outside of the melody. I may do this. I may do or I may do something like that, okay, and go kind of outside exactly what I showed you, but the motif, the theme is still the same. So keep in mind themes and keep in mind motifs. And if you do that and you build your timing off of that and your ideas, they'll just continue to flourish. You can do it all day. I hope this has been a blessing to you and this has helped you in your musical journey. Don't forget to jump on over to Gospel Progressions University. You want to sign up for my free guide. I will add you to the mailing list, which will add you to the mailing list to be notified when I drop my beginners course. I am super excited to have that out to you guys, and I will let you know as soon as that drops. God bless you, and I will see you in the next video.